everybody, and welcome to yet another video, and welcome to yet another review video, where today we are reviewing yet another installment in the Conan Scourge of the Serpent miniseries, of which the first issue I already reviewed about a month ago. The next issue is going to come out in a couple of days, and I thank Jim Zub and Titan Comics for providing me with an advanced PDF for this review. And I have to say once again, I've enjoyed this a lot, and I am looking forward to the collected edition that is inevitably going to come out. These advanced reviews, by the way, they made me go back and acquire the trade paperbacks. Actually, I bought the box set of the first 3 paperbacks of the Conan the Barbarian series by Jim Zub, because it's really, and it's a bold statement, I know, but I'm quite sure of it, that it's one of the best what you can get today in the graphic novel or comic book medium. Absolutely fantastic read for, if you are just a comic book fan. You don't even have to be a Conan the Barbarian fan or fantasy fan. It's just a very good action-packed read, but at the same time, Jim Zub uses a lot of literary techniques that I fell in love with at university when I was studying Old English literature and philology and Germanic literature in general, and that's alliteration and its cadence and really the style. As I always say, even when I reviewed the first issue of Conan the Barbarian, not the Scourge of the Serpent, but the main series, that it is as if you took an Old English poem and just transcribed it into a script of a comic book. Absolutely great. I don't know if Jim Zub did it deliberately or not. Nevertheless, he did manage to come across this way. And here, once again, we do meet 3 characters, because this series, or this story, is divided into 3 sub-lines, but they are intertwined and intermingled. They are as if they were one story. They are happening at the same time, but of course in 3 different periods. But I think that the summary that is added at the beginning of the comic book will well explain it better than I do. Shall we read it together now? Well then, it says, across the many ages of the world, all things that ever were, or ever will be, transpire now. In Himalaya, young Conan of Cimmeria is caught up in what he thought was a simple theft at the temple of Calian Publico, until a corpse is discovered, and suspicion falls on him. In 1934, occult investigator and professor John Kirwan comes to the aid of his friend James Gordon, who claims his wife, Evelyn, tried to kill him. A startling change in personality that began soon after she slipped a mysterious snake ring onto her finger, a gift from a mysterious friend. Meanwhile, in the Thurian Age, Cole, king of Valusia, prowls secret castle passageways with a picked scout Brule, the Spear Slayer, who reveals a plot against his life. His closest guards and advisors have been replaced by sinister doppelganger Serpent men. All as these strange events weave together, the consequences that follow will resonate through the ages evermore. And so what we get in this issue is a continuation of this. The story kind of revolves again, more and more. We see some twists and turns that some of us might have not expected, but some of us might have expected. But those turns and twists gets more twisted and turned again. So if you think that something is one way in the series, don't hold to that thought too long, because you are going to be surprised again. And that is why I will not show many pages from this comic book, because it would be otherwise so full of spoilers that you would not be able to enjoy it for yourselves. Suffice to say that it's really a read that is quite suspenseful. So the part 2 is called The Words of Power, which of course refers to something that will happen by close to the end of this comic book. refers to certain ancient words uttered by the Celt that will resonate through the ages and possibly hint at future event that will probably, maybe, I don't know, it's just my prediction, that will bring all the three heroes from the three eras together, and they might work together or they might not. Who knows? It's just one of the possibilities. It is time to talk about the art, which, wow. Listen, if I praised the previous issues of various Conan titles and their artwork, I am going to do so here as well. The art was done, let me just, by Ivan Gill. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I really don't want to show much because a lot of those pages will be spoilerish. But you know what? I will show you just a couple of the initial pages, which are basically just summarizing what had happened before in issue 1. But then I'm going to show you just 2 panels. One of them is just Conan's eyes after he got very angry and very cross with another character. That is when the savage inside Conan was awakened, or had been awakened. And he is going to be, actually for the first time in this issue, full-on Conan the Barbarian. So far, we have had Conan the Thief. We know that throughout Conan's existence as a character, not only as written by Robert E. Howard, but also by other authors, he had been Conan the Thief, the Pirate, the Barbarian, the King, and here he so far had been in his role as Conan the Thief, being tasked by another character to steal a goblet from a palace. But yeah, you can't anger Conan the Barbarian endlessly, lest you end up in a very unpleasant situation, which is precisely what happens here. And this panel alone, these eyes, really shows everything you need to know about the fact that you have found yourself in precisely such a situation. The dynamism, the anger, the savagery depicted in one panel of just eyes. That's perfection. Do you know that meme, cinema? So here's like comics or graphic novel or whatever, bande dessinée. Beautiful, brilliant. And the other one is of, I'm just going to find it, the Celt character, which at the beginning of the first issue, I suspected that it might have been or must have been either deliberate or non-deliberate homage to Slonj, character created by Pat Mills, also a Celtic warrior, kind of like not a hint on Conan, but partially a satire on Conan the Barbarian, a parody, but ended up being his competition. Because, for example, in my country, Slonj, the title, the comic book by Pat Mills, is as much popular as Conan the Barbarian is. And so, I just want to show you the facial expressions that the artist is able to portray. Usually, in action-packed comic book, you care more about the action and how the body moves and the depiction of musculature and the weapons and how the characters fight. But faces are equally important, and the emotion that they have to, portray or show to the reader. Comic book being a visual medium, but it's a static medium. It doesn't move. Those are not moving pictures. So it's really not that easy. And this artist managed. So, absolutely 100% brilliant read. I can't say much about this comic book because it's really like the middle of the event, the middle of the story, but in it's slowly revolving. Nothing much really happened, but it might be the fact that modern comics are written this way in the West, in America. The same way Central European, and also like altogether continental European comics have always been written in a vast majority, which is for tomes, for albums, for what the Americans say collected editions. There haven't been many periodicals. It's more of a matter of America and Britain with their 2000 AD. But here in continental Europe, comic books have mostly come out already done like this thick albums. And so modern comics, even in America, are written this way. And I think that, it depends if you prefer to collect them in issues or read them in collected editions. And even though those comic books are mostly written for collected editions, it so happens sometimes that the authors, both the writer and the artist, are able to do both. They are able to make the comics work in issues, but at the same time in a collected edition as well. And these fellas at Titan Comics are really managing to do both. Nevertheless, I am looking forward to read it all at once in one collected edition. And that will be really all from me. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and that'll be all. Thank you very much for watching. Namaste.